K-pop lovers. Welcome back to K-pop Update, the home of the most touching, inspiring, and surprising stories from the world of Korean entertainment. That night, in a city forever known for its fiery spirit, the sky over Buenos Aires felt heavier than usual. Thousands of phone lights trembled in the air, glittering like stars that fall into earth, as if the heavens themselves had descended to witness an event destined to be etched in music history. On stage, two different worlds, two different languages, two different cultures, united in a melody that would become a farewell. It was never just a concert. It was a ritual, a ceremony of love, brotherhood, and goodbye. For many, Coldplay's show in Argentina was just another stop in their world tour, dazzling and grand as always. Yet behind the sparkling lights, the pounding drums, and the deafening cheers of the crowd, there lay a secret that would only be revealed much later. Chris Martin, Coldplay's gentle yet brilliant frontman, confessed that the Buenos Aires dates had been chosen deliberately so they could align with the final days before BTS's Jin enlisted for his military service in South Korea. A revelation simple in words, but monumental in meaning. We did it because I really love that guy. I love that band. I love the story of it. He said in an interview that sent ripples through millions of hearts. Those words changed everything. What had once been remembered as just another magnificent show became something infinitely more. A farewell bathed in tenderness, a final salute from one friend to another before they walked different paths. That night, Jin did not stand on stage as just a member of the world's biggest boy band. He stood as a young man, 30 years old, poised to step away from glittering arenas into the quiet discipline of military life. The Astronaut, his first solo single written alongside Coldplay, was not merely a project. It was a love letter, a gift, a token of brotherhood. It was Jin's way of saying thank you, goodbye, and above all, a promise that even in silence, his love for Armin would not fade. Chris Martin stood beside him, not only as a collaborator, but as a friend, a mentor, perhaps even a brother in the purest sense. In an industry often fueled by transactions and profit, their bond was born from sincerity. No contracts, no demands. Only respect, only support, only understanding. As the music of the Astronaut swelled into the night, the air shifted. The crowd, who had been roaring, fell into a quiet awe, realizing they were witnessing something far greater than entertainment. Jin sang each line with a voice that trembled slightly, not from nerves, but because he poured his entire being into the song. And then, for the briefest moment, his eyes met Chris's. Just a fraction of a second. Silent, fleeting, but enough to say everything. In Jin's gaze lay gratitude and resolve, while in Chris's eyes shone an unspoken promise. I will keep this flame alive for you. For those present, the concert felt like both a celebration and a farewell. They cheered, they sang. Yet beneath the joy was the ache of knowing this was the last time they would see Jin before his long absence. And they also knew that Coldplay was giving Jin something more precious than a stage, a memory to carry with him through 2 years of silence. When Chris's confession later spread, the weight of that night deepened even further. The Astronaut was no longer just a song. It became a symbol, a milestone, a bridge between two vastly different worlds united by music and humanity. Now, with Jin's military service behind him, that night feels like a photograph preserved in time. Fans replay the performance over and over, and every glance, every smile, every lyric carries an even heavier meaning. They don't just watch for the music, they return to remember the promise within it. The promise that Jin was never alone. That when he walked away, a friend had stood beside him, raising his hand without words to say, I'm with you until the very end. Perhaps Chris Martin never truly realized how deep that gesture went. But for millions, it was proof that true friendship can exist even in an industry often seen as cold and manufactured. He didn't look at Jin as a global idol with millions of fans, but as a man about to face a heavy duty. Since that night, the story of Jin and Coldplay has transcended music. It has become legend. Every time Chris speaks of Jin, his voice carries warmth. Every time just a performance, but a legacy of emotion that will endure forever. Days turned into months, months into years. Gene has now returned, and the world eagerly waits for the next chapter of his music. Will there be another collaboration with Coldplay? Could Chris Martin produce Jin's first solo album? Fans speculate endlessly, but perhaps the answer doesn't matter. What truly matters is not what they may create next, but what they already gave. Proof that music can unite souls across distance, language, and culture. Buenos Aires may have been only one night in Coldplay's sprawling tour calendar, but for Gene, for Army, and even for Chris Martin himself, it was a night that will never fade. A night when the stars seemed to fall to earth, when two worlds became one, and when love was spoken not in words but in melody, in glances, and in the courage to say goodbye. And maybe in the end, that is why this story feels eternal. Because in a world filled with noise, Gene and Coldplay showed us that sometimes the quietest moments are the loudest of all. That some farewells are warmer than greetings, and that some friendships are bigger than any stage. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and of course, subscribe to our channel for the latest updates from the world of K-pop and BTS. Also, turn on the notification bell so you